Hi everybody, thank you for tuning in for another Journeys with Jack. Today I'm going to speak about a city that I've learned a good bit about over the past couple of months and some of the surrounding area. Now I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia and live now in Savannah, and I really didn't know much about Columbus, Georgia, other than that there was a large military base there, until recently when I did a locum tenens medical job over there. I've learned quite a lot about it. In fact, there's some great cultural icons. One notable one would be the Springer Opera House. Another one would be the Bradley Olmsted Gardens. Now, this Olmsted Garden was done by the same firm founded by Frederick Law Olmsted that did Central Park in New York. Also, Columbus is the corporate headquarters for TSIS, Synovus, whom else? Aflac. That's a pretty big one. See the duck on the commercials when watching football games, right? Now, I bet you didn't know that the Coca-Cola formula was originally developed in Columbus, Georgia by a gentleman named Mr. Pemberton. And then later, the consortium that purchased Coca-Cola was organized by W.C. Bradley, a Columbus businessman, who later was chairman of the board of Coca-Cola from 1919 to 1939. The president around that time was a gentleman named Woodruff. Now, the Woodruff family closely associated with Coca-Cola, but not so many people know about the Bradley family. Well, this I learned, and I also learned about another cola that came from Columbus, notably Royal Crown Cola and Chero Cola and Knee-High. I don't want to steal the thunder of a great reel I have from a museum called the Columbus Collective Museums, where they have an RC Cola museum there. They have some other museums there, Lunchbox Museum and an excellent folk art museum. So there's a lot to offer in the town. I mentioned the Dragonfly Bicycle Trail when I did a reel or a podcast about North Georgia bicycle trails. There's another great trail north of town in Pine Mountain called the Man of War Trail. I've ridden it as well. And speaking of the Pine Mountain area, up that way, one finds Callaway Gardens, which is well known. Also, the FDR Park, that's Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And there at the FDR Park, you can go see the Little White House. That was a great visit. But there's also some good hiking, and I went to the Cascade Falls in that park. I've got some reels coming up on some of these subjects. I hope that you'll check them out and enjoy them. South of town, I found Providence Canyon, another great hiking area, both above and below the actual canyon. Apparently this formed due to some agricultural clearing that led to erosion, and then this massive canyon was formed. Now, just across the river from Columbus in Phoenix City, Alabama, I found a fabulous, authentic German restaurant, the Schnitzel Lot, and I have a video about it with the owner. I would recommend it highly. In Columbus, there's some fantastic cuisine, great barbecue, as one might expect, at places like Clearview, which has wonderful Butterfinger pie. I can't attest to how many calories you might get with that one, but it's great. Also, this place Smoky Pig, Moe's, and then for ribs, I cannot think of anyone better than Pepper's Barbecue. So those have been fabulous. There's also some pretty good fishing there for striper in the Chattahoochee River, and there's also a whitewater company, whitewater rafting there. And you can also zip line across the river. Fascinating. Now, there's several museums in the area. I'd like to mention another one in addition to the Columbus Collective Museum. Kind of on the other side of town is a naval museum devoted to Civil War ships, and an ironclad was raised from the bed of the Chattahoochee River and placed in that museum. It's really fascinating to see the construction and the preservation of it. Then here's a real gem, the National Infantry Museum. Now this place is free, and it details the American Army infantry, particularly going all the way back to the inception of the Army at the time of the American Revolution up through present, with lots of uniforms and artifacts to let you review, enjoy, etc. So for me, Columbus had a lot to offer, and I learned a lot. I think you will find it's worth a visit. I hope you'll avail yourself of the opportunity, and hope this was a helpful video, and I hope you'll tune in on Instagram and see some of the reels that I'm going to be running. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a great day.